Okay, so overall, hypothetically, what would teams need to do to beat Atlanta? What would any of these teams need to do? Like, what needs to happen for them to beat Atlanta?
Let's go.
B2 Podcast. Another week, another podcast, baby. Episode 6. And we're going to be talking about the battle for Los Angeles.
Battle L.A. The aliens are coming.
Aliens
Great
are coming. It really was a great movie, and I don't hear people talk about it at all. It's got
Bro, I still talk about it.
Was it got Harvey Two-Face in it?
Does it really?
I don't know what that actor's name is, to be quite honest.
He said Harvey Two-Face.
Harvey Two-Face. You know what I meant. I think it's that same actor, but great movie, and hopefully it's going to be a great weekend. There's a lot of good teams coming this weekend, a couple that we haven't seen in a minute. So, yeah, let's get into it. I think the schedule for this podcast is going to be pretty simple, just like weeks in the previous, where we're just going to go through and break down each of the matches. I think we have a couple overarching questions that we want to ask, and then we're going to be giving our who we
predictions.
Think is our predictions. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yo, I've never heard you use a big word like overarching.
Overarching? That's not a big word. Come on now.
For you, it is, bro. He said, "Hold on, I got an interview tomorrow." He's like,
"I do have an interview.
I got to use big words."
I do. Yeah.
Give Moisty those good vibes for his interview on Monday.
Or you could tell everybody to watch our podcast and then give us a lot of money so that I could just do this full time.
Exactly.
That'd work for me too. I don't know.
We'll get you guys stuff every day.
Yeah. But anyway, we are going to be giving our predictions for this upcoming match. And then we're also going to be giving our predictions for who's going to win, who's going to be the top 4 teams that make it out of here. I think it's going to be a good weekend either way.
Yeah.
And then just to keep you guys updated, we've been giving our predictions week to week, and we're going to be keeping score on who can call the most matches. Each match you call gets you 10 points. It's the same kind of scoring system as all the teams in the CDL. And then the idea is loser is going to buy something that has been or that we're going to give away to people. So if you're not already, make sure you're followed on Twitch, twitch.tv/player2gaming. And then also go subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then that way you will be entered into this giveaway. And while we're talking about it, we gotta have a chat, just you and me.
Me and you.
We've been me and whoever's watching. We have been holding this this giveaway over your head for some time now, and we haven't told you what we're going to be giving away. I'll tell you one of the items. The item that we're going to be giving away midway through the season was going to be a couple different items from the P2 Gaming merch, which you might ask yourself, oh, that's cool. I didn't know they have merch. Yeah, because I haven't made it yet. No. I spent some time making a couple different designs yesterday. I might make a YouTube video in case you guys are wanting to make merch yourselves, because there's a lot of different avenues out there that you can make merch through. And I really want to make something that I'm pretty proud of, something that if I were to give away to somebody, I want them to feel cool wearing it. Obviously, it's not going to be up to standard as like 100 Thieves, which I'm hoping it's going to be a little bit better than this last drop they had.
My God,
I didn't really care for it. Yeah, not to throw 100 Thieves under the bus. I love the organization, but no, I wanted it to be high quality. All of the merch that I've been buying, I love buying merch from other people, and most of the things are high quality, but I have received some that's pretty poor quality. And I want to make it pretty cheap too. I don't want to charge you $45 for a dad hat. I want it to be cheap so that you can, help support us and help get our name out there. So we will be making P2 merch.
Something cool.
Right. The goal is to have merch up and running, and possibly us be wearing it and a couple other people be wearing it for the Chicago tournament that we're going to in a month.
That'll be April 4th and 5th.
Right. Now that I've finally settled on who I'm going to make the merch through, it just comes down to me putting in the time and actually designing it. So hopefully we'll have something for you by next week. And then that way we'll be like, this is what you're getting in the giveaway. So,
And
then
that giveaway will happen April 11th through April 12th, which is the midway of the season, which is the Florida tournament as well.
I thought that we're going to have a mid-season tournament with everybody in it.
I don't know.
Am I mistaken?
I'm just looking at the schedule right now.
So probably somewhere in April. We'll keep you up to date. I don't know if they've announced like every single event for the rest of the Call of Duty season, which is kind of sucky, but it's changed like 30 times in the past 6 months. So we'll keep you up to date on when that first giveaway will happen, as well as keep you up to date on when merch will be available, hopefully next week. So that's
really cool. I'm excited. I'll be wearing that to class. I'll be wearing that everywhere.
Yeah. I had a couple designs that I was okay with, but again, I don't want it to be as simple as just having a logo on a t-shirt kind of deal. I want to make it a little bit more in depth than that. So we will see. I will try and get that done for you guys. So without further ado, then let's get into it. So to catch you up on this little challenge that me and Mark are having between ourselves, I believe I was leading the way with 80 points and you were trailing behind with 70 points so far.
Close.
It is pretty close, but we will be keeping tabs this week, and I don't foresee a whole lot going on, but on the flip side, I mean, Florida Mutineers showed up a lot more than what we've seen in the past. Like Seattle Surge might have a little bit of a surprise for us with their new substitutions. We'll get into it.
Again, they're playing with the rot. Oh, yeah.
We'll get into it. Let's just hop into it, man. Let me switch cameras here. Also, I got, in the past, I've had my full camera and my zoom. Now I have Mork's full camera and Mork's zoom. Oh, baby.
There's a lot of cool stuff coming for this stream up on Tuesday that Moisty doesn't even know about. So tune in, bro. It's gonna be funny.
Our streams have been doing very well. I've been enjoying it, man. It's been fun.
Bro, I got some funny stuff for you though. You ain't even ready.
I don't like the sound of this.
Shout out to my buddy Moosh for hitting me up with what I need to do it.
Oh, jeez.
You ain't ready.
All right. Enough chit chat. Let's get into this, man. Call of Duty League, Battle of Los Angeles, man. We have a couple teams here that haven't played in over a month sometime. Like the Subliners haven't played a tournament. Have they?
In a while.
Did they play the one in London? Yeah, I think they did. And they got creamed.
New York and Seattle were in London.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, let's just dive into these matches, man. Let's start off with the Atlanta Faze and Florida Mutineers. So, Florida Mutineers obviously outperformed most people's expectations of them in this past tournament. They did very well. They made it all the way to the finals, and they even, it was a 3-0 in the finals, but still, some of those maps could have gone either way, like Florida taking over Faze. So I guess my preliminary question for this one would be, what does Florida Mutineers need to do to beat Faze? What did they need to take away from that final or from the event as a whole and go back to the drawing board? You have 2 weeks, and then you have to start off the weekend by playing the best team in the CDL. What do Florida Mutineers need to do to at least survive Atlanta Faze? Got anything on that?
One thing that we talked about in our previous podcast for the Atlanta tournament was Florida needs to be able to hold Atlanta to play their game. Atlanta plays way too fast for Florida. That's known. But Florida, when they were looking good, they slowed Faze down and were like, hey, let's just play our game. So I feel like that's going to be a really big, that's going to be the main turning point for them is there to see if they can knock Atlanta off their high horse and be like, hey, we're here to play. We're going to slow you guys down and we're going to take this series. Another thing I want to say is also Pristini. He's put up some God numbers last week. or whatever that was
Mhm.
2 weekends ago.
Sure.
And he also had games where he was not good. He's putting up Crim 6 numbers. So he just needs to be more consistent from map to map. I think those are my two hard hitting points for Florida.
I think I totally agree, and even to add on to that, I feel like Florida Mutineers did a good job. I feel like the closest map that they played phase in the finals was the domination. Really, the domination got out of hand for them towards the end, but for the most part, it was a pretty close game.
Yeah.
I think they played on St. Petro, but I think that when Florida did do what you said and kind of slowed down and made FaZe kind of do some of the work for them, they didn't capitalize when they would get like 5 men down. I think that
Yeah, for sure.
they need to have these different surges of like pressure that need to, okay, if FaZe is pushing up, we need to slow down, and then once we kill them, just, push really aggressively and get further into their base or in their face, whatever you want to say. I think that they need to do a better job on flipping that switch back and forth. And then also, I think that the Mutineers need to step it up in S&D. I hope that they went back to the drawing board. I feel like, again, sometimes Prestini would take over the S&D, but I feel like the team as a whole needs to go back to the drawing board and review their whole S&D gameplay and see if they can take one off of FaZe. I mean,
Yeah. Go for it.
I mean, yeah, even in other matches, I felt like the S&D kind of got out of control for them, and they couldn't figure out in between rounds, like, okay, that didn't work. We need to completely try a different strategy. Either we need to 5-man hit fast or we need to slow it down. They just need to play a little bit more sporadically to try and catch FaZe off guard in that S&D.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I've noticed with each team that has been playing is there's been parts to where everyone can get frantic, whether they be on FaZe, Dallas, Florida, Seattle, or Chicago. Each team has their times where they look a little panicked, and Florida needs to be able to pinpoint those times on Atlanta and counter that.
Mm-hmm.
Or not counter it, but like take control of that situation. They're like, hey, we got them knocked back on their heels. Let's keep punching. I feel like that'll definitely get them an advantage over FaZe if they can do that.
And it's cool to see that because, like, I feel like when games first come out, everybody thinks that whatever game came out is slower than the ones previously. So when Black Ops 4 first came out, they were like, "Oh my God, this game is so much slower pace than World War II." But it's just because at the end of games, people figure out how to get around the map quicker and how to maneuver their player a lot quicker. So I think that if Florida Mutineers can figure out, they have the ability to move, their whole team across the map pretty quickly. But then again, so do Atlanta Faze. Like, now that this game is becoming more comfortable with people and people are figuring out a way to play the game at a quicker pace, they definitely need to be the one, obviously, like, slowing things down. And you said they played like boring last time. Like, I took a different viewpoint on it. It very much was like they played in corners and really just let the other team do the work for them. If that's going to be their strong suit, then that needs to be like part of your game plan. You need to figure out moments where you need to do that as well as like push the point. So,
well, I mean, like, I'm not saying that sitting in the corners was a bad thing. Like, from a viewer perspective, like, I was just kind of sitting here.
Right.
But man, if I was on the main stage playing Atlanta Faze and my coach told me, hey, sit in a corner and you're going to win. Bro, I am packing a tent. I'm packing a lawn chair. I'm kicking up. No one's getting near that corner. Nope.
Right. Okay. So what would your prediction be after going into all of that, and why?
Atlanta's definitely going to take it. I don't think Florida's definitely gotten a lot better than what everyone's been saying.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't think they're at the caliber yet to take 3 maps off of FaZe. Now, will it be a 3-0? I'm stuck between 3-0 and 3-1. I think Florida, if they get a right or like the right maps, right veto and ban and everything, they may be able to pull them. But hindsight, 3-0.
You think 3-0?
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna have to agree just because of this. Like, if Florida Mutineers play Atlanta Faze at the last tournament in the finals and lose 3-0, I do not think that 2 weeks is enough time for them to figure out what exactly went wrong and then try and practice upon that. So again, I definitely think Atlanta's gonna take it. I think it's going to be like a 3-1. I bet you Florida Mutineers is going to figure out at least one map. And if they can like pick a map that FaZe weren't necessarily great at, because there were a lot of maps that FaZe really underperformed on. Like the hype going into the Atlanta tournament was so big for the Atlanta FaZe that like you thought that they weren't going to drop a map or any map was going to be close, but they did have those maps where like you saw that they were definitely not as strong as others. So
Yeah.
I think if, like you said, if Florida could get like a good pick ban on a good map, I bet you it'll go 3-1, but I don't think 2 weeks is enough time for them to go back to the drawing board. I feel like it would have been better if they had like either they didn't match up like first, or if they had another weekend where they didn't play them and see how Atlanta Faze react to what happened last weekend. I think they would have a better chance, but it's the fact that it's like the last match we saw was Atlanta 3-0ing Mutineers, and then the next match after that is Atlanta going up against Florida. I don't see it going too much differently.
The one thing I don't want to see Florida do is exactly what Chicago did 2 weekends ago. Chicago was looking at FaZe. They're like, all right, how are we going to beat FaZe? Like, only thinking about FaZe.
Sure.
Looking in Group B, Florida has to go up against Dallas Empire and New York. New York has not had the showing that they really have wanted to start off with, but they're a team of some superstars.
Sure.
You can't, or if you're Florida, you're looking like you're going to be either 3 or 4 in this pool. And so I don't want them to only look at FaZe and then get swamped by Dallas and New York.
Or Minnesota. I mean, it's just like those are a lot of good teams. Like Minnesota Rocker was another one that really impressed a lot of people, playing their first event after launch weekend and then not playing for a month and then placing tied for third, fourth. Is that correct? Yeah. Like they're another team that's like you can't look too far past them. They're a good team. So no, I think that's an incredible point. Like don't look at just this first match. Like you have to prepare for all of these other matches that you're going to play. Especially if like so say they did win and say Florida Mutineers or lost, it doesn't matter. The next game you're going to play could be against Dallas. Dallas has had a lot of time off to figure out how other teams are playing. They could watch VODs. They've had a lot of time to play online. I feel like the Dallas Empire that we're going to see this weekend is going to be very different than the one we've seen in the past. So it's like you have to be ready to play Dallas Empire if that match pops up, which it very well could.
Yeah, for sure. I'm saying, I just don't think they should focus all their time on FaZe. For sure, spend a lot of time on them.
Sure.
But you're going to be playing other matches.
Yeah, and that's hard. Again, you've only had 2 weeks, so that's hard. But yeah, I think it's going to be Atlanta 3-1. If I had to guess, I think Florida might take. I mean, it really just depends. I can't even call it. It just depends on the map, I think, at this point.
So you say 3-1?
I think 3-1. So Mork says 3-0. I say 3-1. Cool. Let's go into this next match. Minnesota Rocker versus the Seattle Surge. So in case you guys have not heard and live under a rock, Enable has been subbed out. And I believe we talked about this actually 2 weeks ago. Because I think I told you guys, like, I don't know how much I agree with that. I told you I think that Seattle Surge, if I had to pick someone to step up on that team to be kind of the IGL, I would pick Enable. So I've never seen Pander play. Do you know what team he was on in the past by chance?
I do not. I know his duo was God RX though. So this first match between Minnesota and Seattle, I feel like is going to be a bloodbath.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, his scum or like Hughes scum God RX was formal.
Interesting. The plot thickens. I like this. Okay. So I have not seen Pander play, so maybe this is a new Seattle Surge team. In case you haven't heard that bit of news, Seattle with Pander subbed in did end up taking a map off Faze and Scrims. Again, I think it could have just been one of those weird things where Seattle was clicking that one map and Faze just happened to be playing a weaker map. But yeah, Seattle Surge did take a
Well,
map.
it was St. Petro.
Yeah, that's funny because Atlanta did not look great on St. Petro, even though they won. I mean, that was just their. You could tell that was one of their weaker maps.
Yeah, for sure.
But okay, so going into this match, since the Seattle Surge have had a little bit of time off, I don't know exactly when the Pander sub came in, probably a couple weeks ago. But even then, even though the subs are playing, hopefully, and practicing as much as they can, they're not actually scrimming with the team all of the time. How do you think Seattle Surge is going to fare up against Minnesota Rocker?
I think they're going to do actually pretty well. They've had time off to sit down and really figure out what they need to be doing.
Yeah.
From what I've been seeing, the team has been hanging out a lot, getting to know Pander. From listening or from like watching a lot of AM brackets with him and God RX, like that dude, everyone vibes around him.
Okay.
And so, especially for the dad squad, I feel like he's going to be really good. Like young energy, he's going to bring them a lot more. Just like, hey, we can actually play for this. So I think it's going to be a close series. I think Minnesota is going to take it 3-1 or 3-2, probably 3-1, just because the amount of practice that Pander's had.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to be a great game.
Yeah, I don't know. Minnesota, I feel like at times has like little dips in matches for no reason, where it's just like they should be winning a match or they are winning a match, and then for no reason the other team will just kind of creep up. Oh my god, I almost flipped my notebook over. But yeah, the other team will just kind of creep up behind them, and they almost could very well like let the match slip away from them. So
Man,
I don't know. I feel like I want to pick the Minnesota Rocker just because of what I've seen, but
you got to remember Minnesota's on their high horse though. They came out and shut everyone's mouth. They shut everyone up, bro.
So are they going to continue to ride that wave, or are they going to crumble under the pressure?
I think they're going to do well.
So which one of these waves is going to be bigger? Is the Minnesota winning wave going to be bigger, or is because Seattle Surge is a god squad. Like, make no mistake, like those guys on there are ridiculously good at Call of Duty. So it's like, which wave is going to be bigger, the Minnesota Rocker winning streak or the Seattle Surge being like, okay, it's our turn to step up. Like, we have to do exactly what the Florida Mutineers did and the Minnesota Rocker did and get top 4 at least at this tournament, you know?
Yeah, so literally kind of going right into that.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm Minnesota, I'm playing for CDL points. Like, yeah, I want to get the chip or like the championship. And yeah, like that's a lot more CDL points. But I would not want to drop any map in pool play. And I feel like right now Seattle's their biggest part or like their biggest rival. And I don't think either LA team will stand a chance. So if you're Minnesota, kind of on the opposite side of Florida, you're going to want to think about Seattle a little bit more than Lag and OGLA.
That's a good point. All right. Mark made a joke. He was like, since you're leading me again in this little competition that we're having, I'm just going to continue to pick the same teams, and that way I just win by 10. But I kind of want to give faith to my boy. My all-time favorite Call of Duty player is Damon Karma
Pander.
Barlow. No, not Pander. No, my favorite Call of Duty player is Damon Karma Barlow. I kind of want to give it to Seattle. I think that they're just waiting for their chance to get really good at the game. I can't. I can't do it. They've sucked too bad.
They've sucked
Too bad.
Oh my god.
Jeez. Oh, it's so
What's your
close.
map count?
Okay. I'll give him this. I think it's gonna be the Rocker. I think it's gonna be a 3.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm like, Seattle can do it.
I know.
Shoot, Minnesota look good.
Okay, I'm gonna give it to Minnesota 3-2. I'm gonna try and be unbiased, but man, I hope the Surge prove me wrong. I hope they prove me wrong.
I would not be mad if I got that one wrong.
So we said, wait, what did you say? You said 3-1?
said Minnesota over Seattle 3-1.
3-1. I say 3-2, and not just because I'm trying to win this little shindig that we got going on.
Here he goes. I'm going to make a good point, and then he's just going to follow me.
I'll make the first point this time. How's that?
All right. Dallas and New York.
Dallas and New York. Right on, man. So Dallas has not had the kind of CDL, career path that they've wanted so far. They've definitely sucked. I mean, there's just no other way around saying it. They just sucked at that first event. They sucked at the London event as well. I definitely think this one's going to be Dallas versus Dallas over the Subliners. So another little snippet of news: the Subliners have a sub in.
Yeah,
and it's not Censor.
Nope,
not Censor, dude. Everyone has been commenting like, who subbed in for him? Was it Happy? No.
Zero is out and. Oh, shoot. Sorry. Oh, good Lord.
Please hold. Oh, no. Not the schedule. The roster. So you said Zero is out and Happy's in. I believe.
Happy spotted scrimming for Subliners in place of Zero.
Yeah. And it's been so funny, dude. So many people are like, let Censor play.
No.
And I just watched that clip that you talked about where he
dropped four kills in the Zero Cave hardpoint.
Dude, I watched it so many times. I laughed so hard. Formal was just roasting him.
Bro, I could do better than that with my feet.
4 with 0 in the hardpoint. That's just sick. So after that, I mean... Doug, I really want to see you play. And I watched his VOD for a little bit, and I'm not a huge fan of how he plays.
No.
Keep up the grind, man. I mean, I feel like he could eventually get there. He's been off the scene for a while, so I get that it's hard to kind of get back into the community and kind of be back at like a good player level. But I think he can get there just as long as he keeps his head up. But right now, that ain't it. That ain't it. 4 kills. And then earlier on, I think this was a couple months ago, he dropped like 7 and he was playing with Formal, and this is in 10s. And the match gets done at 4 was like 7, 7, Doug.
I love Formal.
Like, God, it's so funny. But yeah, I definitely think the Dallas is aware of their current placing. They're aware of the situation. I think it's only a matter of time before they flip the switch and then just become the team that everybody thought they were going to be. It's just a matter of time. I think they've had enough time off early, and the Dallas Invitational is coming up. They definitely,
they need to show up.
They kept that in the back of their minds. They're, I'm assuming they practice super hard. I bet you they're going to be a lot better. Didn't they have a sub as well?
They have Tish, and that's one thing that I wanted to talk to you about.
Sure.
We'll get into that later. Okay. I got a couple questions from a couple people I've been talking to on Twitter.
Oh, sure.
And the comments on YouTube. So definitely would like to answer those.
Yeah, I've been very impressed with how many people actually give their opinions and comments. I absolutely love it. Both Mork and I read all of the comments you guys send us on any medium, Twitter, YouTube comments. We haven't posted a whole lot on Instagram, but eventually we'll start posting stuff there. But yeah, I've been very impressed with you guys. So definitely keep up the love. I love hearing from you guys. Even if
you guys disagree with us on something or want to point something out, go for it.
Right.
We'll talk about it.
Right. I mean, this is just us. I mean, we started this podcast just because Mark and I talk a lot about Call of Duty, so it's like we may as well start talking about it. So this is just our opinion as spectators. We're not any sort of pro players. We're not,
or analysts,
or anything. So this is just our opinion of what we think is going to happen. So.
And we want more people to talk to. Moisty's boring.
Oh, whatever. But yeah, definitely keep up the love. So do you want to get into, did they have comments about Dallas Empire?
Let's keep it going.
Okay. So yeah, I definitely think that Dallas is going to take it over New York. I think New York's still trying to figure it out. Yeah.
What's your map count?
Dallas is going to take it. I think... I've watched New York VODs, and honestly, I'm just not impressed. I would like them to prove me wrong, but I think it's going to be a 3-0 Dallas.
Not trying to copy you, 3-0 Dallas.
Whatever.
I disagree with you saying Dallas is not performing. Because if we look back, Chicago has Dallas's number. Simple as that. Dallas just hasn't been performing well against them.
Sure.
Opening weekend, they played Chicago, got 3-1 there, looked very strong in search and destroy.
Okay.
And then they played Atlanta, the best team in the game, got 3-0.
Sure.
Again, they had the hardest weekend.
That's fair.
And London, 3-0 Seattle. Maybe not the best team, but still against a team that could pop off at any second. They 3-0 Seattle.
Sure. Okay.
3-1 by Chicago.
Yeah.
Again, Chicago has them. 3-1 Seattle.
They played the best teams and the worst teams in the league, man.
They 3-2'd London. London is a phenomenal team.
Okay.
They pop off more than anyone else is thinking.
Okay.
And lost to Chicago. And then they weren't in Atlanta. I don't sure they're not having the start that they wanted, but I don't think they're as bad as people give them credit for. I think they're going to take New York 3-0 easy.
Okay.
It's going to be shooting bots.
I will say, so the only other team that we've seen them other than Chicago, or other than like the best and the worst team would be the London Royal Ravens. And all of these matches were very close. I got the scores pulled up here. You got stream pulled up? Yeah, I mean, look at this. Like, it could have gone either way.
It really could have. Like, each game was stupid close.
So, I mean, I see what you're saying. They didn't suck as bad. It was just like they had so much hype around them going into this. Everyone thought that they were going to be the best. So, I guess that was a little bit of an overreaction. They're still a very good team, but
yeah. I think it's going to be a dominating victory over New York, especially since New York just subbed in Happy. I'm guessing he's a good player. He's on a CDL team. Like, I'm not there. But you got to build that chemistry back up. And again, this is they subbed in someone who's never been in the spotlight.
Right.
If you have one person that's sucking on your team, that could be very detrimental, especially on a team, or especially going against a team like Dallas.
Yeah, no, that's a great point.
I feel like that's going to be one of the quickest series of the weekend.
Interesting. Okay, so we both think Dallas 3-0. Also,
Dallas 3-0.
Side note, I'm looking back at a
stupid
lot.
Hot in my room. Yeah,
same. I'm kind of sweating here. We say 3-0 quite a bit. We're a little bit over dramatic. I kind of like it. We expect it to be like a crushing victory all the time. I like it.
I'm like, good Lord. There's so many like crazy things happening that like I kid you not, these past three like Call of Duty weekends, my blood pressure has been through the roof.
Well, and I was thinking about why that was, and I think it was Nameless. And dude, I want to like Nameless. It's just
I love them.
Yeah, I know. He's very intelligent. He knows what he's talking about. He's been around Call of Duty a long time. He makes very good points. But one of the things he said really early on, I think it was maybe even launch weekend, when they were talking about their predictions, and it's like it could go either way just because their rosters are so stacked. I
Yeah.
think the reason that I really like watching this year is because there are a lot less teams. So a lot of the superstars from these teams
Are spread out.
are condensed rather. So it's like you have a lot of these teams in Black Ops 4 that might maybe have one or two good people, but now there's what, 12 teams?
Well, I meant
16 teams?
I meant like they spread out. Like in Black Ops 4, you had a team of superstars,
Okay.
but now you have it's almost split.
No, I'm saying so like we've had like 20 some odd teams in the past, and now that there's only 16, you're taking all of the one superstars from each of those teams and putting them on a team together. So that's why it's hard for us to make these decisions on like Minnesota Rocket versus Seattle Surge. Like when you look at the roster, all of those players are very good at Call of Duty.
Yeah.
So it's like I think that's what's making this year so interesting for people that have been watching Call of Duty for a long time and kind of have seen all of these teams kind of come in and out of the cycle.
Yeah,
So,
that's what I was trying to say. I
get what
literally
you're
was
saying.
that completely wrong.
No. I get what you're
Take
trying
what
to
I
say.
said and just
I knew what you were trying to say. Yeah. All right, let's move on. Los Angeles Guerrillas against Optic
OG
Gaming L.A.
All right. I did the first two. You got the second two.
Okay, let's start off with a little bit of news. I don't know exactly when this happened. I think it happened a couple weeks ago, and I believe we talked about it. I'm not sure. But Aches is officially out. He has been benched from the Guerrillas. And who did they bring in? Did that tweet tell you?
I can look it up real quick. Keep talking.
Yeah, so Aches has been out, which is funny because they've had a lot. I love Call of Duty for doing this every single weekend where they release these like commercials promoting the next event. And the commercial that happened had like Aches and Slasher, kind of facing off. It was kind of cheesy, but something about Aches being the optic killer, but he's not going to get the chance to. He got benched on the Guerrillas. Did you find it?
Yep. So the starting lineup for LAG is Aqua, Decimate, Blast, Vivid, and Spark.
Oh yeah, okay, I forgot about this. So this is the team that cut a lot of people. They cut Lacefield, they cut Saints, dude. Like
those are some big names too.
Yeah, Lacefield and Saints have both been around forever, man. Saints.
I remember watching them in BO3, bro.
Yeah, I mean, so the fact that you cut these people that have been playing for a long time. Granted, the Guerrillas haven't been performing lot better. I don't know what I'm trying to say there, but
kind of in the same boat as Seattle.
Kind of. I expect a little bit more from Seattle since they all are like champions of some kind. I mean,
Yeah.
Aches is a champion. I'm pretty sure Lacefield is too.
I don't know
either, but Aches has definitely been underperforming. That's a big move to change out that many. I think that's the most we've ever seen on one team to be subbed out. So I feel like this one may be the biggest question mark leading up to the event. I'm gonna pick Optic Gaming for this one. Optic's another one that's kind of in the same boat as Seattle, where you look at the roster and they're really good. I mean, Dashy and TJ, they're younger, but they definitely have potential. We saw incredible moments of them last year. I think they just need somebody on that team, and who they have Pac-Man as their coach.
Yeah.
I think between Pac-Man and Saints, like they're like well suited enough to kind of take them under their wing and give them that direction. I think that Scump and TP and even Crim6 last year,
everyone on the team,
right? They were very willing to be like, this is their direction. You need to go do it. And they were like, okay, let's do it. And then they had incredible moments. I'm curious to see if the attitudes on the team has gotten any better. Obviously, that they knew keeping the Optic name was going to have some trouble. They knew that keeping Dashy and TJ on the same team was going to have some trouble. But I think I'm going to give this one to Optic. I feel like they're kind of getting over that hump of hate, and they're ready to say, okay, we're an actual team. We're good players. We're ready to win some matches. They are ranked the lowest in the CDL right now, with 0
Haven't
COD
won.
points. So it's like, I think they're going to do their homework against these new Guerrilla players, give predictions on how these new people are going to play. I think that they're going to take it. It might be close.
Ma'am.
I feel like with all these new additions, it might be close. Maybe 3-2. What do you think?
I was literally about to say that same thing.
I'm thinking 3-2, but I don't think
I'm
they're.
think-
I don't think they're going to be close maps. I feel like the maps that Optic wins, it's going to
Really?
be a big spread, and then maybe the maps that the Guerrillas win, it's like a little bit closer. But I think the maps that Optic will win are going to be kind of a blowout. If I were to,
Yeah,
were to predict.
I'm kind of in that same boat. I haven't been watching either LA team as closely as say like Dallas, Seattle, as some of the bigger names. Um, so I don't have a lot to base it off of. Like I said, this game is very keen on having team chemistry,
Sure.
and like you said, they're LA's just subbing people in and out like it's a basketball game.
Yeah.
But or even better, hockey game.
You're
They're
right, just
putting
on the
off
fly
different-
in the middle of the match. Here, take the controller.
But OG just has a lot better chemistry, and I feel like they have a lot more people that can sit down and stay confident, especially with these two new guys coming into LA. It's kind of like the same thing with New York. They haven't seen the main stage. They haven't
Sure.
had a CDL or even a CWL like main stage game, and so you really have to have them step up. But I just going against big names, they're gonna be scared. I know I would be.
Well, heck
So
yeah, I would be.
I'm gonna give it. I definitely think they're gonna perform, but I don't think that they could take 3 maps. I definitely think it's gonna be a 3-2, and I think it'll be a close series.
You think it'll be 3-2 close? Okay,
Yeah.
we'll take that. That's a good point. I mean, a lot of these names, Mork and I have been watching Call of Duty for a long time, and even though these names that are coming in may have been around, they haven't been on super prevalent teams. Maybe they have been on like an open team that's pretty decent, but they definitely aren't names that I really recognize a whole lot. So that's a good point. This is their first time kind of on main stage, especially with, franchising this year. That's a big deal. So
Yeah.
it's a big change for them. Whereas a lot of people on Optic are kind of veterans in that kind of aspect. So hopefully Optics can get some points on the board. They look they look really bad down there at the bottom with the goose egg.
And I forget who it was, but Kenny and someone else were going back and forth on Twitter. And the last comment that I saw was the other person going at Kenny. They're like, "Shut up and talk to me once you win a series."
Oh, dude, that's so rough.
I was
Like,
like, yikes.
that's a big yoinks.
Yeah.
Dang. All right, let's move on, and we're going to be.
Aren't we going to do top 4s or something?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
We're going to be guessing the top 4, so guessing who's going to make it out of each group, essentially, and then the order, and then we get 10 points for each team that we get in the correct order. So,
All right.
well, those questions that you had on Twitter and YouTube, are those prevalent now, or you want to wait?
We could go into them now, actually.
Okay.
I
feel like since we're talking about like overall event, who do you think is going to be better than other people?
One of them is like an umbrella. The other's right under that umbrella.
Sure.
Question. So let's talk about trades. Who do you think on each team, or do you think a team desperately needs different starting 5, and who do you think would be like subbed in or dropped?
So you're saying trades between teams?
Uh, Not trades between teams. Maybe I think there is like a midway trade where you can do that.
That's what I'm.
But I'm
Yeah,
yeah. We'll say let's talk about trades and then switching as well.
and so
Who would be your God squad? Who do
I
you
think
think would be changing teams?
for both, my answer for both of your questions is it's just too early. I don't think any team really is like that desperate yet. I think we need a couple more weekends to actually solidify. I think after this weekend we'll have even a better idea, because I mean we could have said the same thing about Florida before the Atlanta.
Yeah,
They did not perform super well, so it's like if you started thinking about trades rather than seeing what you have and
subbing.
trying to play off of what you already have and making that better. I think that really, like I said, all of these teams are stacked, man. I mean, they have a lot of good players on them, so it's just figuring out like what do we need to do to kind of make it click for us. I feel like if you look at previous Call of Duties, different teams peak at different times. So while the Seattle Surge like are struggling right now, I feel like if they timed it right and got good and practiced when they need to, they could peak right there at the end. You never know.
Yeah,
Um, but
I
it
don't. Sorry, I don't think trades will be a big thing this year. I definitely, or everyone's still trying to figure everything out. I know next year it may be completely different,
mm,
like different teams, but I still think everyone's trying to figure out what the Call of Duty League is, and you can't really blame a team right
that, and I don't know what contracts look like. I
now.
don't
Yeah,
know. I wouldn't be surprised if people signed um, more than 1 year contracts per team,
yeah,
especially like the good players. Like if and this is completely guessing. I don't know if this is true. Like, but for Seattle Surge, like Karma, he's won 3 rings. I would be surprised if he didn't sign a contract like saying for 2 years for a lot of money for that
yeah.
team. So I don't know. I just think it's too early. I don't think any team should really be, unless there's absolutely awful chemistry to the point where you can't even sub in people. Like you can't pinpoint it to one person making it that bad of chemistry and then sub them out. Um, if there's just bad chemistry between a full roster, then you should be thinking about trading. And what this kind of tells me from the LA Guerrillas, the fact that they're trading out 3 players, I think that's kind of happening there. I haven't seen a
Yeah.
whole lot of their VODs, or I don't even know if they live stream or anything. But I mean, what other reason would they have to trade out 3 of their like biggest names
Was
on
it
that
three or
team?
two? I thought Blast already played with them.
They traded out Aches,
Mm-hmm.
um, balls. I already forgot their names, dude. Oh, here it is. Aches, Lacefield, and Saints are all
Oh
out.
yeah,
And those are big names. So what other reason would you have to trade all 3 of these players? Or
yeah.
to sub them out rather? Like I don't know if they're trying to figure out, you know, just kind of attitudes with each other, or just figuring out in-game chemistry in the sense of like knowing where your teammates are at, knowing how they play and how they push kind of deal. But that this would be the first team that I would see should look at trading if these subs don't work out this weekend. If
Yeah.
these subs come out and absolutely suck, like what's your options from there? Do you sub back in Aches and Lacefield and Saints? Like then you're right back to where you started, and you have a weekend less of LAN experience. Like
Yeah, for sure.
that's just the fact that they traded out 3 big names on the Gorillas is really
It's
unsettling
hard.
to me.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm in that same boat. Um, not I'm not a big fan of the trades, especially right now.
no, it's
But
just
subs, on the other hand, look at each team and tell me who you think you would like to like. Pick one team and build their God squad. So maybe if it's Huntsman subbing in Bose for someone,
oh geez.
or Dallas subbing in Tish.
I think it would have to be. Florida subbing in Maniac. Obviously,
Oh my
we all want
God.
to see Maniac play a match, man. I love Maniac. He's so funny. He was he was good at Halo. I think
He
it could.
was. No.
I'm assuming he plays a little bit of Call of Duty now, at least. Like,
No, probably not. He's been playing Fortnite.
so yeah, I would say sub Maniac for Pristini, obviously.
Oh my God. All right, let's get back to real talk.
Oh, geez, go for it.
I
man.
want to mess with the Ultra roster.
I knew that was going to be my legitimate answer, and we've talked about this in the past, where it's like,
All right, build your Toronto Ultra God Squad.
All right, well, let me just let me pull them up real quick then, huh? Toronto Ultra. Oh, geez. I don't hate what they have going on now. I really see some of these players I don't really know a whole lot about. I like Looney a lot. I think Methods has been stepping it up a little bit more this year. I do like, oh geez. Was Lucky was on Heretics?
Yes.
I like Lucky.
Kleenex was on Singularity.
Right. Don't know a whole lot about Kleenex. So I would probably say, oh geez, now I'm getting into a point where I don't know people's roles, but just basing off like names of what I've heard in the past, like probably Looney, Lucky, Methods,
Looney, Lucky, Methods.
Bance,
Okay.
and Brack. I don't know if that gives me like a that might be unbalanced, but I'm basing it totally off of like what I've seen in the past, like which names I've heard. I know that I was a huge fan of Heretics.
Erratic Dragons.
Yeah. But I was a huge fan of that team in BO4. I wish they would have done a lot better than they did, but I was a huge fan of Lucky and all those other guys that played on that team. So I guess that would be my makeshift. But yeah, definitely Toronto would be the team that I've mentioned this in the past. I would love to see you play around with some of your subs, and I think they're trying to do it.
I think they're going to, for sure.
So what's your God squad there, brother?
Bro, listen to this.
Oh God! All right, he's been waiting for this all week, dude. Jeez.
Looney.
All right.
Methods.
Okay.
Brack.
Yeah.
Bance.
Okay.
Medals.
Why Medals?
He's been a god recently.
They subbed him out.
For who?
Medals was subbed out last time. He was the one of the first subs, right?
No, I thought he came in.
Maybe.
Who do they have now? Methods, Looney, Classic, Bance, and Cammy. Yeah. Okay.
Medals was subbed out.
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Cammy right now.
That's fair. I mean,
I don't know. Like, I don't know why they subbed him. Maybe they're just trying to figure out like what was best for. But I thought he was really good.
Well, maybe it goes into what we were saying before, where it's just like they have all of these subs ready to go, and obviously, like their subs are pretty decent. Like,
yeah,
you would think you could sub these people in, and it wouldn't make a huge difference. But it kind of goes back to what we were saying, where it's like you've been a big fan of Metals, who was Metals on Heretics as well.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's like Metals has been a big name before. Maybe they just subbed him out too early. Like maybe it was just one of those things where he underperformed like the first couple tournaments, and maybe he couldn't figure out like the team synergy is just like a whole of like where I should be in reference to my team on the map. I'm sure there's a language barrier. I know there's definitely a language barrier between Lucky and.
Well, see, they said that, and there's not.
I mean, they speak fairly good English, but
yeah,
still. But I mean that that's just another factor that they have to get used to. Whereas on Heretics, they could just speak fully in Spanish, you know?
Yeah.
So maybe that's just another factor. Maybe they just subbed him out a little too early. But yeah, I mean, I don't know a whole lot about Metals, but I guess he would be a good pick for you as well.
The second thing I wanted, or our boy Frank.
Okay.
brought up was, how do you feel about Optic maybe subbing in Chino or Goonjar?
Again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I just think it's too early. I think the Optic roster right now is stacked. I think that TJ specifically has been kind of underperforming if you have to pick one of them. But I mean, Goonjar's been another one that's just been out or on there for so long.
I feel
Playing
like
Call of Duty for
maybe
so
I could
long.
see Goonjar for Cap.
Cap
had one good map recently, but other than that, he's not been that good. And maybe they're keeping him on there like to be a captain, but Goon has been playing there or has been playing almost the same amount of time.
But again, I can't get this out of my head where it's like, if you look at the past, like, I don't know, 8 Call of Duty championships, how many has JCap been in? You know what I'm saying? Like, I tell you, like, people peak at different times. Last year, Optic peaked right at the beginning. Optic peaked right at the beginning of BO4, and then they slowly but steadily went down. Like, I think JCap is very good at keeping persistent throughout this game and really figuring it out. And then his final form, he's timed it out where it's at COD champs every single time. So
yeah.
Maybe
but
not,
see, here's the other,
maybe not last year, but
kind of in the same boat as Seattle. You have JCap, you have Karma, Octane, maybe not Octane, but like Apathy. Those guys have already reached their peak. And once you reach your peak, it's going to be going downhill. I don't think Goonjar's reached his peak yet.
I haven't seen Goonjar play in a while.
I don't think he's reached his peak yet. And so, like, at this point, if JCap's going this way, Goon is going up or going this way, like, I don't know. Sure. I wouldn't be mad to see Goonjar in, and I'm just not a big JCap fan.
Yeah,
his nose takes up the whole screen.
Oh my, I love JCap.
Well, because you guys have the same nose.
Listen, man, we ain't gotta be like that. But I think, if from an outsider perspective, unless the whole team chemistry is just way off, I think subbing in general right now is a little bit too early. I mean, it's just a gamble. It might pay off well for your team and it might not. But until we see like all of these different players and how they react as the season goes on, I just think it's a little bit too early. I know that since you have subs, you feel the need to use them. That's new. We're not used to that in Call of Duty, but I think overall subs are a little bit too early in the season. I mean, it's just a gamble. I mean, I encourage them. I'm very open to see other people play. I'm very interested to see how the Los Angeles Guerrillas play this weekend with all these new people. But if thinking of like a coach's perspective, I think it's too much of a gamble.
Yeah.
So, all right, we need to.
Well, now those questions are answered. Let's rank off these top 4 and let's.
Yeah. I want to go to bed. We had to start a little bit too late tonight because someone had to work. So, all right, let's get into it. Who do you think is going to be the top 4 teams? Let's start with should we start with who's going to be out, or do you think that matters?
No.
All right, let's just say top 4.
Top 4 teams. Dallas, Atlanta, Seattle, Minnesota.
Whoa.
What? Whoa. Yeah, go. All right. Bye. End of podcast. Dallas, Atlanta, Seattle, Minnesota. Bye.
Scratch that. Reverse it. You
Minnesota, Seattle, Atlanta, Dallas?
In that order?
Oh God, no. Those are going to be in the 4. In the order is going to be Atlanta, Dallas, Minnesota, Seattle. Moisty's over here like
I'm just writing it down.
Talking too fast.
Okay, so you think Atlanta's going to take 2 tournaments in a row? You think they're too unstoppable?
Right now, yes. Later on in the season, I do not think they're going to be the best team.
Maybe. I mean, again, that roster is stacked. I feel like they I mean, they have a couple people from E United last year, and E United, I feel like, did a very good job of adapting. I
Yeah.
never felt like they plateaued. And if they did, they plateaued a little bit early, and then they kind of figured it out right there at the end and won the last two tournaments. And how many people do they have on Atlanta now? 3?
What do you mean?
Priesta, or not Priesta, JK, that's from 100 Thieves.
What are you talking about?
Simp, Abizi, and then there's another one on it, Faze from E United.
No, there's not.
Okay, well then just 2 then. Whatever. I thought there was
bro.
I thought there was 3. But
You
anyway,
said that last time as well.
yeah, well, thought I was right. Okay, so Atlanta's going to win 2 tournaments in a row. They just ride their hype wave and keep stomping people. Do you think it's going to be an easy win for Atlanta?
Yeah. I don't
so?
think Dallas is going to be ready for Atlanta.
Interesting.
I just randomly clicked on something, by the way. Atlanta has a 100 match win percentage. That's just weird to look at still.
Yeah, it is kind of weird.
With the 81% game win.
Yeah, all the statistics are kind of out of whack just because, I mean, who was the team? I think it was FaZe, where it had, like, someone had a 14 KD on Search and Destroy. It was something just silly. Okay, you're right. Just Abizi and Simp from E United. Yeah, whatever.
I know.
Just wanted to double check, but.
All right, give me your 4. Let's go.
If I were to guess, I think that Minnesota Rocker are going to give Dallas Empire a run for their money. I think so. Especially with the sub on Dallas, I got to give him like a little bit of a, I don't want to say a handicap.
Sub on Dallas.
Didn't we say that Dallas had a sub?
Yeah, he's not playing.
No, like somebody subbed in for.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
wait, what?
I thought we said that Dallas subbed in somebody on the roster.
Dallas didn't sub anyone. They have a sub.
Oh.
Oh my god.
It looks like I need to do a little bit more research going into this.
Someone's an idiot.
This is a lot of teams, a lot of stuff I got to cover here, man. But regardless, I think Minnesota is going to give Dallas a run for their money.
Yeah.
But so overall, hypothetically, what would teams need to do to beat Atlanta? What would any of these teams need to do? Like, what needs to happen for them to beat Atlanta?
Atlanta has holes in their gameplay where they do not look well. If teams can exploit that, they're going to win. Holes in their gameplay, and would you say maps? I think maps could get better in 2 weeks. Their map pool could be a little bit bigger. But I think they mess up. And a lot of teams are too frantic. They're like, oh my God, we're playing FaZe, like blah, blah, blah. They're too frantic to realize, like, hey, these guys are out of position, or we just won these gunfights. Simple.
That's fair.
Well, not simple, but
I think after the first tournament in London, I think I made a big argument saying that Huntsman play like very spread out and very aggressive, whereas Dallas play more as a unit. And it was interesting to see how those two kind of clashed. I think that, and I mentioned that if Dallas were to find a hole or a way to break that kind of wall of people that are so spread out in the Huntsman, that they would absolutely destroy them, right? Obviously, they haven't figured out how to do that, but I think Atlanta Faze are very similar in that they're all very good. They all play very aggressive. So if a team like Dallas, where they play in a big clump kind of, and I don't mean that like literally, I just think that I see them move in the map as a unit. I think if they could figure out trades against Atlanta, I think Dallas could give Atlanta a little bit of a run for their money.
Yeah.
And then the same kind of thing with all of these other teams where Florida Mutineers we already talked about, but Minnesota Rocker, we've said this in the past. Minnesota is so much better at range than FaZe. So if they
Yeah.
can get these kind of open maps where they can beam them with like snipers or ARs, like you're going to win. Like I think that Minnesota could beat FaZe given the circumstances.
Yeah. I
If
mean, gods can bleed. We proved that
we saw
two
that,
weekends
yeah.
ago.
So I think that other teams need to look at those two kind of things, like the things that we've seen work. The fact that Florida Mutineers slow their gameplay down and let FaZe come to them, and then Minnesota beaming them from range. I think if teams look at those two things and kind of like go off of that, which I bet you Dallas Empire have, I think that we could see FaZe not win this tournament.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. Give me your rankings. We've been talking for
I
like 3
know.
hours.
It's been an hour and 10, so we need to wrap this up. But I think that, because if we come out and FaZe win over Florida, Dallas wins over New York, we have a Dallas Atlanta game immediately, like third match,
like right out the gate.
Yeah, that's gonna be hard for Dallas, man.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna pick the. Oh, you put Seattle in the. I just broke my.
But see, here's the thing. You got to realize, what if some upsets happen? Minnesota beats Dallas. Dallas
Right.
is going to be pissed. They could lose against
Right.
New York as well. They're out.
Right.
Done.
I think my top four are gonna be Dallas, Rocker. Not in this order. Not in this order.
Okay.
Dallas, Rocker, Florida, Atlanta. I think Florida is
That can't happen. Florida's in Group B.
Oh yeah, you're correct.
Yeah.
So I have to pick two. You're right. Florida, gosh, dude, that's gonna be so hard for them. They got a hard pick this week.
All right, now we got to wait another 10 minutes before Moisty makes up his mind.
Okay, well, if that's the case, I'll still kind of pick an upset here. I think it'll be in this order. Let's just go full out. I think it's going to be Dallas, FaZe, and then tied for third, fourth, Rocker, OGLA. Talk me out of that.
All right, let's wrap up this podcast.
Okay, so what did I say? Dallas?
You said Dallas is going to beat FaZe.
Yes. Dallas, Atlanta. I think they can. I don't think that is unreasonable.
I mean, I think they can, but
they've had a lot of time to kind of sit and prepare. They've seen a lot of VODs. I guarantee you that Clay and Krim are not going to take. I mean, just their kind of attitude. They know how much work they're going to have to put in, and they're willing to do it. I think
I could see Dallas doing the same thing Chicago did, though.
Oh, absolutely. I can't do this. All right, fine. I'm erasing it. Atlanta over Dallas. I say these things and I hope that they prove me wrong. I want to be proven wrong. I hope Dallas comes out and beats Atlanta. That would be so cool. And the plot of the whole Call of Duty League would thicken so much if Dallas could take that second victory away from Atlanta.
Because we still haven't seen Chicago and Atlanta.
Right.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. They could put up a lot bigger of a fight to FaZe rather than the Huntsman, because I think the Huntsman just, at this point, they're just scared to play him, or that Dallas is scared to play the Huntsman, because it's just like they can't do anything. They just have their number. And then tied for third, fourth. I think it's gonna be the Rocker and OGLA.
I can see it. All right. Any final comments you want to say?
Yeah, again, if you disagree with our picks, let us know down in the comments. I would love to hear what you guys say. I've always been this kind of way where it's like, in my mind, I play these matches out, and I really just want an upset to happen. So, again, these are just our picks. We're not any sort of professionals. We're just two dudes that like to watch a lot of Call of Duty. So, I will say I think the structure of the next podcast is going to be a little bit different in that we're not going to go down the list of breaking down each of these match. I think we're just going to look at overall teams. So, for example, last week we would have started with the teams that just didn't make it out. We'll see what went wrong with OGLA, London Royal Ravens, what went wrong with these teams that didn't make it into the top 4. And then we'll break down each of these, like the Minnesota Rocker, they won 2, lost 1. We'll break those down. I think that's just going to be a better structure for the tournament so that we could ask like big questions about each of these teams. I caught myself talking ahead way too much in the last format, so we'll give that structure a try, and we'll definitely keep up to date. Like hopefully we'll have merch by next podcast. No promises. Again, I just want to make it as good as I possibly can. I'm not necessarily the best at designing t-shirts, but we'll see how it goes.
You got some pretty good stuff up your sleeve.
We'll see. I think I just need some time to like let it stew, you know?
Yeah.
Let the ideas kind of stew. If you have any ideas of what you would like to see in terms of apparel, the dad hat is definitely going to be the top on the list, man. I can't live without dad hats. They're just my absolute favorite thing ever.
That's the other thing. We're going to be buying our own merch. We're not going to be like those people like, hey, we created it. Can we have one for free? Like, no, I'm buying it, bro. I'm buying one of everything.
Oh, sure. But yeah, so the first giveaway that will happen in about a month or 2, month and a half-ish.
Soon.
Will be a care package of probably multiple items that we have from our merch. And then the bigger giveaway will happen at the end of the year when we tally up all our points and see who's better at calling games. It's definitely going to be
that one's going to be a fun one.
Yeah.
It's really.
It's probably going to be more. I'm gonna be losing so bad after this.
It's all right. It's hard to predict right now.
It is. It is very difficult. We have a question in chat. It says, when are you putting these on Spotify? If you guys think we should, I mean, that's not difficult to do. We could buy a subscription and put it on iTunes and Spotify if you really want. Let
us know.
Yeah, we will see. Maybe in the future. I don't know. But anyway, I'm very excited for this weekend. Lots of good matches. A lot of teams we haven't seen in a couple months or a couple weeks. So I'm very excited. You got anything else, Mark?
Nope.
Nope. All right.
Does anyone want to take my midterm for me? Oh, tune in to the stream Tuesday and Thursday. Tuesday's going to be hilarious because Moisty has no clue what's going on.
Yeah. We will be streaming, I'm assuming, Call of Duty, unless you have something else in mind.
No, bro, COD. Especially for this coming up.
Okay, we'll be playing some Call of Duty on Tuesday and Thursday. We usually go live around 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Definitely go check out our YouTube channel and click subscribe. Again, we're still a really small YouTube channel, so any subscription helps us out.
For sure.
Follow us on Twitch, and I think that's about it.
I'm done.
All right. We'll see you guys next weekend for the P2 Podcast episode 7. Goodbye.
7? Yeah, 7.
Yeah, episode 7. All right. We'll see you guys later.